Hey there everyone, this is Jeremy, the Music Andy, looking like a cappuccino today, and we're here today to talk about Who Cares from Rex Orange County. Contemporary R&B, indie pop, bedroom pop, neo-soul, whatever you want to call Rex. This is his 4th studio album, and he's coming from the UK. Rex first hit the scene back in 2015, back when I graduated high school, with the album Because You Will Never Be Free. It was an album that didn't really blow up, but it definitely has a lot of signature tones and ideas that Rex kind of plays with throughout his career and his discography. He did blow up humongously to the success of Apricot Princess and singles such as Sunflower and Best Friend and Loving Is Easy. I will admit I'm not somebody that was listening to a lot of pop music at the time back in 2015, 2016. I was more so sticking into punk and rock, the genres that I knew more so, and the subgenres that went with it. But there were still a lot of tracks that did perk my ears up. Television So Far So Good was one of them. It had a lot of tempo changes into it. It had a nice progression in it. It constantly was evolving. The instrumentation was layered nicely. They may not be the most complex instruments, but everything was working together very nice, and Rex has a nice voice. Then you had other tracks like Best Friends that was kind of gritty, it was kind of hazy, it was kind of aggressive, but at the same time it was sincere because of Rex singing over top of it, and it just made for a nice, enjoyable listen. I like the way that Rex is creative. He's not afraid to try different ideas. If he has a sound that he wants to explore, he goes ahead and explores that sound. Now, if it's done in the best way possible, who's to say? Sometimes it definitely is a hit for me, sometimes it is a miss for me. I'm kind of somebody that was in the middle when listening to Rex as far as love and hate went, because he is kind of a polarizing figure. I definitely see more love for him than I see hate, but that hate definitely comes out to a forefront sometime, which I don't think he deserves at all. Elegant strings may be the initial welcomer to this, but there is a super bouncy bass, there's a nice kick drum going on this, and there's like a church-like key section going on that's adding some nice tone to it. Rex has a nice melody carrying out throughout this track. It's very guiding in it. It's not the most complex piece of music, but I think it is a very good opener to the album. Open a Window, featuring Tyler the Creator, is our next track, and this is kind of an immediate left turn. The production is done in a lot different way. It is very progressive, it's very evolving. There is some nasty tones going on that with the bass, especially with the drum rhythm that's going on this, it's definitely an immediate switch in production value. Like I said, the bass has a super interesting, gritty, kind of wah tone to it. The drum kind of has this stank on it instead of a typical 4/4, and the synths are kind of chopped up on the back end of this beat, really adding for a dynamic listen. Rex and Tyler work well together vocally here, Rex having a much more higher pitched voice, Tyler having a much lower pitched voice. It is a good contrast to each other, and it's good guiders throughout this song. Overall, I thought this was a fantastic track. I welcome Tyler on this. I welcome his production especially, and I think that there is some synergy between these two, especially on this track. Worth It is our next track. Kind of starts off slower with the string section like the first track, and then we hit a string loop, and then the beat is introduced to it. If you keep bringing this bass and the level of bass into each one of these songs, I'm just going to like it. It's super funky, it's super fresh, it's nice to listen to, it's super enjoyable. But it's when the beat kind of kicks off that sometimes I kind of get lost into the track. Rex usually has very nice melodies, but sometimes they just get drawn out and I don't really see the direction that they're going to, and they don't really pay off when they get to that journey spot. But once the string section loop happens, I know that the beat's coming, and there's nothing you can say to hurt me or do anything to me, because once the beat is there, I am enjoying this song. Amazing has the drums, the bass, the strings, and the keys all working very well together. This is a very good opening track. Everything is layered together, they're working together, they're complementing each other, they're supporting each other. And then we have the addition of guitars on this one too, and there's a nice kind of pluck, just rhythm going on, and then a guitar that has some chorus on it, adding an interesting tone to the feel of the track. The track is doing a good job of staying engaging throughout the entire piece. There never feels a dull moment in this. It doesn't seem to slow down, and I'm just enjoying it all the way through. It's a good track. One in a Million is a track that is much more vibe feeling. It is heavy on the R&B vocals, soul vocals. They're kind of, the melody that's going on here is kind of standard to the genre. There's nothing really crazy going on. But once again, we have a super nice bass on this, and the string section at the end of this really kind of gets me going. I wish that there was a little bit more payoff on this because this is a slower track, and again, the melodies kind of feel drawn out, and I'm not really being guided to anywhere, and once we get there, I'm like, I don't want to be here. Can you just get me like an Uber and I can go home? If You Want It is a track that kind of hooked me right away. It has a lot of tones and instrumentation going on that I would not associate with Rex on any of his albums or any songs that I've heard from him. But these strings that are being played on it almost sound like forks being scraped on a plate. And I mean that in the best way. It's a super interesting tone, and it's just very contrasting to the track. The synth almost has this industrial feel to it, and the pulsating drums are kind of adding to this idea of it having an industrial feel to it. The reverb keys on this almost are kind of getting lost in space. They're fluttering out. You don't really hear them too much. They have this ghostly kind of haunting feel to it, and it's just making this a very interesting listening experience. And then we get to the end of this track, and it has a boiling over point that I just love to hear. It's a nice progression throughout this, and it just did everything that I wanted it to without me ever knowing that I wanted it to do that. Fantastic track. Thank you, Rex. 7 a.m. has a simple, easygoing, carefree kind of feel to it. Once the track kind of gets going and it shows you all the instrumentation, that's all the track is really going to do. And it's just going to kind of stay there, and it's just not my feeling of a song. But I can definitely see a lot of people liking this one. The Shade is another one that is kind of more simple and easygoing, this time bringing in guitars. The guitars are kind of drenched in reverb, and we have some kind of sugary sweet melodies and vocals from Rex. But again, it's kind of simple, easygoing. There's no really payoff points on it, and once you get what you get, that's kind of it. I will say, though, that there is a nice little bell section that's at the end of the track, and it kind of has a passion pit kind of feel to it, but it's not enough to make me want to listen to the song too much. Making Time goes back to the standard that was on this album, which is you bring in the strings, you kind of draw it out for a little bit, and then you introduce the beat on it. This one has that bedroom pop feeling to it. It almost feels like Rex is a floating head inside of a box, and there's like these toy box instruments kind of circling around him, playing with him. It's got a very tight feeling to it, kind of a lo-fi feel. Nothing too special to me, but if you do like the bedroom style, this is definitely your track. This is kind of going to be your track of the album. He doesn't really go back to this style too much. Shoot Me Down is a track that I knew right away that was going to be one of my favorites. It's super progressive, it's heavily textured. The bass is kind of holding this track together as all the instruments nervously kind of find their footing in this song. The ending of this track kind of teased the hell out of me. It had a string section that is just violently boiling over. It's reaching it. It's kind of pushing the track to its absolute limit. And right when it's going to get to that humongous explosion, they cut it down and they just play a nice little soft play out. It's not done in a bad way. I just wish that I got my way, but I don't always need to get my way, and that is fine. Who Cares, our self-titled piece, is a track that kind of plays similar to the first track on this one. It has that upbeat feel to it, but this time the vocals on it are a lot more depressive. They're a lot more down and out. Nothing really blew me away on this one. The vocal samples that are at the end of this, that are kind of getting layered and sandwiched together and all smashed and mushed all around, is done really well, and it's something that I wish kind of was entertained throughout this album a little bit more, or maybe in this track a little bit more, but that's fine. It's still a nice ending. Rex, Rex, Rex. This is an album that I thought was pretty well done from you. I think that you had some ideas and you transcribed them in a very good way. They may not have been all hits for me. They may have been some misses, but that's okay. You're making music and it seems like you're having a lot of fun with what you're doing. And it is reflected on a lot of your listeners because you have a fantastic fan base. There's a lot of haters for this guy. I don't understand why too much. Maybe some people are jealous. Maybe people don't like him doing the R&B style if he's not going to be as complex with it. But for the most part, I think that Rex makes very enjoyable music. And there are some very interesting experimental moments to the music, but it doesn't always need to be that. Again, I might not have been in love with all of these tracks, but for the most part, I'm going to give this 7.1 out of 10. I was trying to think of something to playful with there, but I'm just going to say 7.1 out of 10. What did you think of this album? What albums would you like me to review in the future? Please leave a comment below and let me know. Subscribe if you like the content, and I hope that you have a wonderful day. Thank you.